everybody, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be doing my May wrap up, and May was such a good month. I read 8 books, I believe. Yeah, 8 books, and they was all really great. Usually my wrap ups are very long. I always say that I try to keep them short. I will try to. My last month's one, which came out like a week ago, because I just kept putting it off. Because April wasn't really the best. But that one was kind of short, and this one I hope to make shorter. But anyway, I will just start out by talking about a book that I have, like, I was reading quite a bit of. So I got to page 150, and I didn't even realize I got to like the middle of a chapter. Wow, that's kind of ugly. That's actually really bad. Anyway, so I need to actually just get to the end of that chapter, or else I'm gonna not feel okay. But this book I've been reading, The Great Believers by Rebecca Mackay, for like an online book club thing hosted by Charlie Brooks on Fable, I believe it's called. I've actually applied to some more other book clubs this month because they're like Pride themed, and this book is sort of like 2 time frames, in like Chicago in 1984 and Paris in 2015, and it's a story of how love can both rescue and destroy us. A thrilling, addictive novel full of characters whom the reader comes to know as friends, colleagues and lovers. And I've actually been like highlighting and like underlining and like writing like little things in like the margins and stuff, because I thought I was gonna like be really enjoying this. So like this is the way I've like set it out, if anyone is wondering. This is the first time I've ever done this, so like I don't know if I'm doing it good or what. But I am enjoying this book. I did fall behind with the reading group and stuff, but it is enjoyable, and I'm very intrigued. But it was making me feel a bit slumpy, and I was a bit like, I don't want to be put into a reading slump. So I think I'm gonna finish. I'm just gonna get to the end of this chapter, like probably read this like when I finish filming this, because that's making me feel a bit ill. But then I'm probably gonna just put it aside and pick it up when I want to. And yeah, but so yeah, so I haven't DNF'd it, but I've just like put it on the side for the moment. But I will get back to it because I do want to read it. I just don't feel like right now is the best time to read it, and I want to enjoy it as well. So yeah. Then the actual books I read. The first was I read this for a blind date with a book, which you can check up there, the whole video. This is Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto, translated from Japanese by Megan Bacchus. I ended up giving this 4 stars. It's sort of like, it's 2 short stories, but the first one is split into 2 chapters, so it's like 3 chapters. It's quite strange. The first one is about Mikage, and she recently loses her grandmother, who is like her only like family relative. So then there's like this young man that used to know her grandmother, Yuichi, asks her around to their house, and then it's like possibly like, do you want to stay? So that sort of thing. And then his mother is a transgender woman called Eriko. And that's sort of like one story, and then the other story follows Satsuki, who recently lost her high school lover of 4 years, Hitoshi, and then she's like tries to like look out to the future. So I said like the prominent motif is grief within this book. There is a lot. It had different many forms and how it impacts people. The sensation is heavily explored, and Yoshimoto does a great job at realizing these characters and how they're like impacted by the death of their loved ones. And yeah, it was written in 1988, and the inclusion of a gender character was rather like modern and like greatly appreciated, and her work was like hailed as being quite like not revolutionary, but like it like sort of like changed quite a lot of like Japanese literature, and yeah, which is really great. There was a few like uncomfortable parts, but there was very little, and I did really thoroughly enjoy this, and I would recommend this little book. Then I read, listened to actually the audiobook of Tom Daly's Coming Up for Air, which I gave 4 stars to as well. This is like a memoir that I did quite enjoy. It follows his somewhat linear narrative, but there is sort of like ups and downs as well. Starting in 2012 and finishing in 2021. But there's like certain chapters that sort of like zigzag chronologically, focusing on the particular topic that he wants to talk about in that certain chapter. There's maybe a bit too much technical parts about like diving that was like I personally liked, but it's not really excessive. It's just that like I wasn't necessarily that interested, but I made a little list of what he covers in it that I did find quite interesting. Sexuality, coming to terms with it and coming out in the public eye, mental health, dealing with burnout, internal and external pressure, mindfulness and ways to deal with it, body image in regards to men and the toxicity within sports, grief, how to do it and love and move forward, the many ways one is impacted, and I said here that I actually cried in public when he was talking about his dad and OMFG. He sounded like such an amazing person. Tom, he'd be so proud of all you've accomplished. It's just so sweet. And also like the gay family and parenting, viewed by outsiders, how to make it work and the hurdles to overcome. There are others, but these are the major points. I found it more quite interesting and enjoyed hearing Daly's personal take. There's also some parts I could relate to, and this quote about where he had to overcompensate for not fitting the mold in terms of achieving success in diving is something that I feel as well. And yeah, overall decent read, and a solid 4-star, and I listened to this audibly narrated by him, and I would so recommend it. So yay. Then I read the manga Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide by Mone Sorai. This is translated from Japanese by Katie Kimura. I am this 4.25 stars. I did really enjoy this manga, and I cannot wait to check out volume 2. So in it, we follow the 2 main characters, Ashai and Mitsuki, who are embarking on a trip around the world before they get married. In the first volume, they visit Thailand, India, and Georgia, and whilst they're exploring and meeting new people, but there's also some like flashback moments as well about like in their past, that I'm really intrigued about and want to like learn more about. Hopefully, there's more in that one. And I really loved how like it introduced this second narrative to keep you coming back, other than they're just traveling, which is really like lovely and cute as well. And yeah, they're just such lovely characters, and I want to explore the world with them. And yeah, it's really sweet, and it's also like I appreciate the like the teenness of it, I guess. I don't know if that's a word, but where there is like sophisticated parts, but is very accessible and appropriate for you to like for a younger audience, and like some BL mangas, and overall there's like literally like no trigger warning topics I don't think in this at all. So I would so recommend this, and like the artwork is so like sweet as well. So yeah, recommend that book. Then I got back into my thriller loving era, even though I'm not a thriller bitch. I read Confessions by Kane Minato. This is translated from Japanese by Steven Snyder. And I'm giving this 5 stars. This book was I absolutely loved it. It is so good. I'm totally impressed and would wholeheartedly recommend it. I can't say much about the plot without like spoiling it, but it's basically that two of Yuko's students killed her daughter in a suspected accident, and this is the story of her revenge. Dot dot dot, and the aftermath of it. Minato splits the book up into chapters from different people's points of view. And there's like different formats as well. Not, I mean, it's all written, but like it's like one might be like a letter or like journal entries and stuff. But it's so good, and I loved it. It's rather like convoluted and complex, but there's like brutal and like honesty, and like the prose is a little basic, but like the actual story is just so like windy and just a ride. And yeah, things are unveiled throughout with some shocking parts, and relation and that place in the thriller genre, but there's many a passage on life, relationships and emotions, pushing it into literary genre as well, which I adore. The characters aren't particularly likable, but like there was a lot of complexity to them, and which was really, really great. I was totally enthralled and gripped by it, and I cannot wait to read more by Minato. And I was trying to watch the movie adaptation of the book, but I just couldn't. I didn't really like I didn't really just like it that much. But I think I might try again because I want to see how it has been adapted, and I just loved this story. So yay. Then I read another banger. This book was so good. This is All Men Want to Know by Nina Bouari, translated from French by Anise Abbas Higgins. I gave this 5 stars. Literally wow. I like underlined and like starred stuff in this one. I don't know if you can see, but like there. And I have my review here, by the way, that's why I keep looking. This blew me away. By page 3 I knew it was something special, and at 33 it became a new favorite of mine. So let me quickly just like show you like why those parts, just because like I think that wait, I could fill up on the, oh no, I put some quotes at the end, but like that's my review. So page 3, about this bit here. So my mother claims she can hear the helicopters and tanks from Kuwait City. I don't know if she's imagining it or alluding to a war as real as the one I'm waging against myself. Oh, another bit. My fantasies are of murder and torture. The price I believe I must pay for being who I am. Oh my, literally, wow. And then let me get to 33 and why I love this page. Like literally, I even said like yes, yes, yes at the top of it. There is such thing as a gay childhood. My childhood. No excuses are needed. There's no explanation. It simply is. And then another little bit, the gay child is not lacking. She is different, outside of the norm, inside a normality of her own. Not until later will she come to understand that her normality marks her out from others, condemns her to secrecy and shame. Just wow, there is so much in this book that I love. But anyway, there's some quotes. Read it. So it's sort of autofiction-esque in a way, which I love. Like the other book that I'm going to talk about a little bit after is Lie with Me. That's also autofiction, French autofiction. If you have any like queer French or translated autofiction works that you think I should read, let me know, because I'm bound to like them. But anyway, so this tells the story of her growing up as a lesbian in 1980s Paris, exploring her sexuality and identity under the backdrop of the growing threat of AIDS and a legacy of shame and silence within the queer community. And yeah, this marks the chapters they're tiny, they're like 3 pages each, like less than normally. Headed Becoming, and then there's other chapters called Remembering and Knowing, which gives the reader insight into Nina's childhood split between Algeria and France, and where her father and mother are from respectively. There is rather minimal plot, but like it's just like you don't read it for that, you read it for the lyrical, the poetic, the mesmerizing, the downright beautiful prose, which just pulls you in and refuses to let you go from page 1 right to the very end. The writing is exquisite, leaving me stunned on nearly every page. I underlined whilst reading, and only about 70% is left untouched. That's how amazing I found it. What I also loved was how relatable parts of this was. As a queer person reading this, there was just a lot that I could not only understand but wholeheartedly like feel like within me, and like to have that response and connection to a book is just that's why I love reading, is so I can see myself in things and just like understand. That's why I love reading. And yeah, the queer experience is only half of what's encapsulated within this, and that was enough for me to love it. But it's also that about being an immigrant, and having these 2 nationalities / identities, and this is so well articulated. Additionally, themes of friendships, relationships, family dynamics, motherhood, religion and politics, racism, and so many more are discussed in this little tiny book that is 175 pages. Like literally the end of it, this is what I wrote this is what I wrote. Incredible book, so beautifully written, so much relatability, queer and immigrant experience perfectly encapsulated within. 5 stars, loved it. Wow. Literally, it is exceptional. So recommend that book. The next book I read, which was another 5-star read, and one I absolutely this book was just so good. This is The Appointment by Katharina Volkmar. She's born in Germany and like a German woman, but she lives in London, and it was written in English. This is certainly something. It's a book, and one that fully encapsulated me. The plot is that we follow an unnamed protagonist in a monologue-like performance drawn an appointment with a Dr. Slegelman, and throughout their ramblings, a lot is touched on, and all done in a striking, honest, witty, humorous, raw, gritty, and exquisitely perfected prose. So much is talked about, but specifically the protagonist's sexuality and gender identity, reconciling with living in a woman's body, being a daughter and a German too. It's very refreshing to see a German woman talking about the impact the nation's shameful history has had on its citizens, and there is so much to be discussed. The parts about her rather austere sexual fantasies, like involving like Hitler, were maybe a bit repetitive, and there's something a bit unnerving about them being discussed in a Jewish doctor's like practitioner's room. But as a whole, I found it fantastic. This book made me stop multiple times and just be like, yes, I get that, I understand. And totally 100% recommend picking this up. I won't say more about the contents, because you need to give it like a read for like things to like unravel and like be put down. But I'm definitely going to be rereading this soon and like underlining, because I didn't have anything like with me when I was reading it, but I was like out at the time, which was kind of sad. But anyway, Volkmar, please write something else, because I need it. And this is another little short book that was just incredible. 96 pages. Amazing. And then, because I knew that I read books that I loved and they was already going to be my favourites, I thought I'd give Lie With Me another little reread, because this is my favorite book ever. This time I tabbed it, and I underlined in like pen. If you haven't seen any other videos on my channel, like from like last year or whatever, this is my favorite book ever. It's just so good. It's by Philippe Besson, translated from French by Molly Ringwald. It's like auto-fiction-esque. Basically we follow the main character, Philippe. It starts with him in Bordeaux, doing an interview, and then he sees something that he can't possibly see. He calls out the name Thomas. The person just walks on. He goes over, touches them, and then he goes back to the 1980s, and it's a story of this doomed queer love that is so beautiful and sad, and it's just every time, like, I'm gonna say quickly flash that, but this last bit here, I sometimes just read this, sometimes just myself, just if I want to cry. The most beautiful heartbreaking paragraph ever, and I drew a heart. I'm not an artist yet, but I don't want to actually see it because in case of a spoiler. But look, I did 6 tabs because just that paragraph is like, it's not 5 star, it's 6 stars. This is beautiful. It is so heartbreaking, but just exceptional. So yeah, I will never ever shut up about this book. I love it with every essence of my being, and I cannot recommend this more. I will continue saying it. If this book does not become a classic in the future, then we have done a disservice to literature and queer literature, because this is just beautiful. And it's 148 pages, and every single page is just so good. By the way, the tabs don't actually like mean anything. Well, I mean, they do mean something, but like the colors don't, because I didn't know I was going to be tabbing as much. But the tabs are, instead of doing a star, I thought I'd just tab it so I can like easily get to like the certain bits that I love. Maybe it's quickly just go through it and just pick one that I just want to see. Okay, this one. I'm reassured by this vision of an undiminished Thomas, whom the years have not weighed down or damaged. My lip, I can't. I love it so much. So yeah, so I can see it's already 20 minutes, and this is the second clip. But anyway, let me really quickly wrap this up. So the last book I listened to was A Message from Ukraine by Volodymyr Zelensky, and I'll be giving this 5 stars. And this book should never have been written, because this evil invasion of this beautiful, peaceful country by Putin and the Russian Federation should never have happened. But it has, and these speeches delivered by the world's best leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, must be heard. The president has expertly compiled 16 of his speeches given nationally and internationally. In them, the reader is introduced to the history, voice, and identity of the Ukrainian people and their spirit, and I would definitely be reading more from this beautiful country. The spirit of Ukrainians has never been dulled and will never be. This war is abhorrent, but Ukraine and Zelensky has united Europe and the world, showing who's on the right and wrong side of history. These speeches are exceptional, so heartbreaking and reflective, but most importantly inspirational. He is a truly phenomenal leader, family man, and voice of a nation going through one of the worst crises this century. You must read them. My favourite was definitely the 15th one, so there's 16, delivered on the 18th of May, which you can, if you just type in Volodymyr Zelensky 18th of May speech, you can see this one, and it is incredible. So in my little review, I don't know if you can see that, but I just wrote glory to Ukraine in Ukrainian, Rome, Latinized, and English. 5 stars. Really, really good. I listened to this through Borrow Box, same with Tom Daly's memoir, which is where you can get like audiobooks through like your library account. So if anyone hasn't heard of that, then check it out, because it's like free audiobooks. I think they do ebooks as well, but I'm not too sure. But anyway, that is my wrap up. I loved the books I read this month. They was really, really good. And I would recommend all of them. So let me do a quick picture so I can do it as my thumbnail. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you soon. Have a nice evening, morning, night, wherever you are in the world. Bye bye.